Max Domi provides a major update on his contract extension talks with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Also, a top goalie UFA candidate has arisen as one that the Toronto Maple Leafs will be looking to sign when free agency opens. And I'm going to break all this down for you coming up on this episode of Hattrick HQ. But before we get into it, we got to say that 78% of you guys watching these videos aren't subscribed to the channel. So if you're trying to stay up to date on everything that's happening around the NHL, make sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button. But with that said, let's jump right into the first topic of the video today, which is Domi contract talks are heating up. And yes, today we did get a quote from Max Domi talking about how things are going between his agent and Brad Treliving. And if we just take a look at the quote here, he says, "I know my agent has been talking to Treliving, though I have to keep that discussion in-house." He says, "Whatever happens will happen, but I've still enjoyed every second as a Leaf. I'd love to come back. It's a special organization and a special group of players." And that's Max Domi talking about how his extension talks are going as of now. And I mean, that's great to hear because everybody wants to see Max Domi back. I think, me personally, I would love to see this guy back. I think, as a Montreal fan, as during his time in Montreal, I really did enjoy him. He's a player that plays with his heart on his sleeve, and he can be clutch on occasions. I thought he looked phenomenal in the playoffs for the Toronto Maple Leafs this year and all season, really. I thought this guy was a very bright spot of this Leafs club this year. And I think, if they can get him at the right number here, I think this would be the perfect guy to bring back on a 3, 4, 5-year deal and just have him for this long term while they're in that window of trying to win a Stanley Cup. And there's nobody who wants to win a Stanley Cup in Toronto more than Max Domi, something that his father couldn't do. And I think that he would love to do that just for him and for the fans of Toronto. I think he's the perfect guy to bring back. And I mean, if we just take a look at his stats this season, he had in 80 games, he had 9 goals, 38 assists, which was 47 points, 137 shots, 42 giveaways, 26 takeaways at a +10, averaging about 13.47 time on ice. And if we just take, a look at the breakdown stats here, he shoots 6.6% on the season, and his expected plus minus is 7.2, and I mean, it looks like this is a solid middle six guy for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We've seen him this season just have that season where he put everything on his back. I mean, when push came to shove, he played on that top line and stuff like that. It's those things that people are overlooking here, in my opinion. And I think, with Max Domi, yes, obviously he can play the wing, he can play the center position, and he's going to excel at both. And I'm a really big fan of this guy, and I think that Brad Treliving and the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to do everything in their power to bring him back. And hearing that the talks are still ongoing, things are looking like they're heating up a little bit with free agency on the rise. It looks like they're trying to bring Max Domi back. And we do have a quote from Brad Treliving here where he says, it's got to work for them and it's got to work for us. He said, We've got certainly some issues that we have to address on the roster. There's a pie, and there's only so much to go around. He also goes on to talk about in this article that he says obviously there's a piece of the pie and that got to go around, but he also says he wants to bring some guys back, but he also wants to not have the same team, and he wants to kind of freshen it up a little bit. So, they have about $20 million in cap space this year. So, some of that is going to have to go to bringing guys back, but some of it is going to have to go to bring new guys in. And this is what Brad Treliving is planning to do. He's trying to make, not the same team, because obviously it didn't work for them come playoff time, but when it comes to Max Domi, I think this guy is a no-brainer. I think you bring him back. He loves playing for the club. He loves playing for the organization. And he just loves the whole, the guys in the locker room. And I think when you have a guy like that who has so much love for the team, so much love for the city, it's a no-brainer to bring him back. But we're going to get into the second topic of the video today, which is Leafs top goalie option revealed. And yes, if we take a look here, this is an article from The Athletic where they go on to say here that someone like Laurent Brossoit as a tandem option to split starts with Joseph Wall. He said Leafs management remains very, very high on this guy, and they also go on to put out a number here in this article. They said it's hard to project exactly what he'll cost given how the UFA goalie class is. He says, but my guess is it'll be relatively short-term deal for around $3 million. And obviously, Laurent Brossoit is a guy who won the Stanley Cup with the Vegas Golden Knights just a couple of years ago. And if we just take a look at his stats here, he was a very solid goalie for the Winnipeg Jets this season. In 22 starts, he did put up a .927 save percentage and looked really good for the Winnipeg Jets as their kind of backup goalie. And I think having this guy come in to back up a guy like Joseph Wall would really be the best option for this Toronto Maple Leafs club, because obviously, we talked yesterday about maybe going out making a big splash, trying to get a UC Saros or a Jacob Markstrom. And, with the New Jersey Devils highly looking for a goalie right now and having that, high first round draft pick in this upcoming draft to float around, it's going to make it harder for Brad Treliving and the Toronto Maple Leafs to make a trade for a top goalie. And what I said yesterday, and this is what I still believe today, is that the Leafs should stick with Joseph Wall. He looked really good in the playoffs, and if he wasn't injured and played in that Game 7, things could have been different, and we could be looking at the Leafs in the second round of the playoffs, in my opinion, because, he's still young, and he has a lot of potential here, and I think, over these next couple of years, these are going to be the prime years in his career, and this is when the Maple Leafs need him at his best, because these are the years where the Leafs want to win the Stanley Cup and go far in the playoffs. So if you have a shutdown goaltender like Joseph Wall in the pipes, it's going to make that a lot easier on them. So if you bring in Laurent Brossoit here on a $3 million deal, short term, to ride the tandem, we're seeing more and more teams adapt this kind of style where, we see with Boston where it's been so successful with Ullmark and Swayman, and there's plenty of teams who have adapted this over the last couple of seasons. So I think what Brad Treliving is going to try to do here is to bring in a not a number one goalie, but a top-of-the-line kind of fringe starter guy who, when he gets in, he's going to be a great goaltender. And Laurent Brossoit, only at 31 years of age, still, in the prime, I would say in the prime of his goaltending career. And if you bring him in, he gets 30, maybe 35 starts. That's what you want from a guy like this. Kind of split the starts from Wall, and when Wall's not in, you're not worried about if we're going to lose the game, because I think Brossoit is that great of a goalie that when he's called upon and goes in, he's going to play his best, and he's just been a very solid backup slash fringe starter for every team he's been on. He has that Stanley Cup experience. He has the experience to share with a young goaltender in Joseph Wall, which could help elevate his game as well. And I just think this is the best option. I don't think the Leafs need to go out and make a huge splash for a goaltender. I think if they're going to make a trade, it needs to be for a defenseman or for a top forward if they're looking to move Mitch Marner, because Joseph Wall dominated the AHL. He played very well last season, played well in the playoffs. The only downside about Joseph Wall is the injuries he's been suffering, and hopefully we can see a full season of a healthy Joseph Wall, because we've seen goalies, they probably struggle the most with injury, I would say. You can correct me if I'm wrong down below, but we do see a lot of goalies deal with injuries throughout the season and stuff like this. It's just, it's a lot on the body to be a goaltender, stretching out and making those saves every night. Eventually you're going to pull something, and if once you pull it, it's hard to re-aggravate that injury. But hopefully now Joseph Wall over this offseason had a lot of time to recover from these injuries, and hopefully we will see a full season of Joseph Wall with hopefully Laurent Brossoit backing him up, because I think this could be a really underrated goalie tandem in the NHL. And I think this is the year that Joseph Woll breaks out and puts his name up there as one of the top goalies in the NHL. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. What do you think? Let me know down below. Love to hear from you guys. Love reading your comments. But we're going to get in everybody's favorite topic here, which is comment of the day. And the comment of the day today goes to Tyler. Tyler says, I think you guys are right. Woll is the Leafs' #1 guy. If he didn't get injured, he would have played Game 7, and I would think the Leafs would have moved on to the second round. He just needs to figure out how not to get injured and stay healthy. And, I mean, you put it right there, Tyler. Kind of reiterating what I said in this video is if Joseph Woll has a healthy season, it will look good for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Obviously, they were still trying to figure out, like Sheldon Keefe was still trying to figure out this season who he wanted to be that #1 option. They were kind of, Samsonov was going in, and then if he played bad, Woll was going in. There was never really any consistency with the Leafs goaltending this year, just with injuries and stuff like that. So hopefully we can see a consistent season between the pipes for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and hopefully we get a solid backup that can ride a tandem with Joseph Woll. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. Like I said, leave a comment on the video. You might be featured on the next comment of the day. While you're down there, make sure to hit that like button. It helps these videos get pushed out to all the hockey fans that watch here on YouTube. Also, while you're down there, hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. I think we're on the push for 4,000 subscribers here on the channel. So if you're not already subscribed and you want to keep up to date on everything that's happening around with the Leafs, the NHL, go down below and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to check out that video myself and my co-host Mark Pye did yesterday talking about Jacob Markstrom trade to Toronto, it'll be popping up on your screen right now. But as always, I've been your host, KC. Keep your stick on the ice.